And hello, everybody. I know people are kind of coming in a little late. We started about 5 minutes late, but it's okay. So welcome to
Already starting?
yes, we did.
Shit.
So welcome to another edition of Interview with Former Red Pillars. This is my fifth interview that I'm doing with another person, and I was just going to say I was going to get to pre-recorded content, but I left for the weekend and I kind of got backtracked. So hopefully I'll have some. I would say
Hey,
next
dog,
week.
it happens to the best of us.
Yeah, I would say hopefully have some next week because Thursday I'll be interviewing Dee Darrell when we talk about how people are using YouTube as a form of therapy, and I'm actually looking forward to that. But other than that, I'm actually glad that I get to interview my guest because we actually did a little short podcast interview together, but it didn't get published. But it's okay.
Yeah, my computer at the time was a complete piece of crap.
Okay, well, can you introduce yourself really quick before we jump into questions?
I am a man of many names. I will not say my government one. I'm known by other ones I can say. Barbary Jackson, uh, Geese Howard, Ozymandias. But point is, I'm known mainly as HT, random blog writer extraordinaire, traveler of the cultural changing desert that is, well, online discourse.
Okay, so because I like to keep these interviews around an hour, I just kind of jump straight into it. So my first question is, yeah, can you tell me about yourself, like where you're from, where you grew up, childhood, and what you do for a living?
Well, let's see. I was born a poor black child. No, it wasn't. My mom did a good job. Anyway, I was born in Lansing, Michigan. Fun fact about Lansing, Michigan: it some of our famous people from here are Magic Johnson, obviously, and believe it or not, actor Matthew Lillard from the Scooby Doo movies and Steven Seagal. Yes, Steven Seagal is from my hometown.
Hmm.
I was born there in September 10th, 1991. My mom and my dad at a hospital that technically no longer exists. Now, if you want to understand how this gets to me leading to the Manosphere, you have to understand something that I think both Aaron and many other people like me will understand. When you're a young black man raised by a single mom, there tends to be two main schools of a path you go on going into your life. You either become the kind of swagged out dude or you become, the more educated lame. Now, neither are inherently bad, but life happens and, well, he's expanded on it in many videos. So I'll leave you to watch Aaron's videos. Subscribe today.
Oh, okay. You're a character. I can definitely tell.
No, I'm just fucking high, dude. Did
Oh,
you not catch me like hitting the blunt before I got on the camera?
no, I can be a little slow when it comes to stuff like that, but that's okay. As long as you're like all there and we can actually get information out of you.
Slow, sir. You're a college graduate. You should be a little more on your toes.
Oh, that's okay. So yeah, so my other question is, so I look at some of your articles. I know you've written quite extensively, and you often talk about black male nerds.
No,
And
no, no,
I don't.
no, no. I just want to get something clarified by
Okay.
looking at a lot of my old stuff. Prince writes a lot. I just rambled and people publish the bullshit.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
okay. So I know you do talk about black male nerds, and I can't really, even though I consider myself a nerd, I can't fully relate. So I kind of want to know, can you like explain what a black male nerd is and what are your personal experiences?
Well, to put it in the least exposition required way possible. I was raised. These are the facts. I'm just going to stick to the facts to understand what my life was like. My mom has a degree in chemical engineering from Michigan State University. Chemical engineering is not an easy degree to get, so that lets you know how smart my mom is. I can't really say in numbers, but my mom is a impressive shot with pretty much any gun you put in her hands. Thank the fact that I come from a family from the South, so a lot of women grew up with guns and learning how to fend for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Now that And my mom is also devoutly religious. It's almost scary, but I won't go into that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's my dad. Uh, he's, you know, to sum up me and my dad's relationship, please listen to the song Cats in the Cradle. It'll pretty much sum up the whole thing in a nutshell. I don't want to take up too much time, so I'll just keep it as condensed as possible.
No, you can elaborate. We got plenty of time. So
I know. I'm just trying to keep the safety brake on myself because I already slipped up once. So.
oh, okay. Yeah, I always tell people try to avoid like profanity and sexual vulgarity since it's YouTube, and I don't even talk like that in my personal life, but I just don't want this to be on like, be on the channel.
Oh no,
Um,
I get it. You come off as a pretty even-keeled guy. No. It's a weird thing with me, but I digress.
okay.
What was the rest of the question?
Yeah, well, I was kind of curious, what is black male nerd culture and what are your personal experiences? I know you call yourself a black male nerd, so I was kind of curious about that.
Well, yeah. I mean, come on, look what I'm wearing right now. But I swear I have a Capsule Corp hoodie right hanging behind me on this chair. I'm not kidding. Basically, you're into more nerdy things, comic books, anime, obviously, science, math, things like that are more intellectual than physical based, but aren't inherently bad. I mean, come on. I like anime too, but I can understand that, like, looking back, that I was a humongous weeb. I can still point out the artistic merit of someone like Hayato Miyazaki, but there's no way to not praise someone out sounding wild. But what black nerddom, where it comes into it, is that it kind of goes to the overarching thing I wanted to say about the entire Manosphere, which is basically there is a sort of meta narrative that you and I have probably experienced on some level, which is you grow up being taught how to prepare for a world that will no longer exist by the time you get ready to use what you were taught. You know what I mean?
Hmm?
You kind of understand where I'm going with this? As anybody?
Yeah, I see where you're going.
Yeah, so that's what you grow up doing with it. Now, does it play out well for people? Obviously not. One of the groups that it does not play out well for is people you see, the black guys you see within the Manosphere on the whole. And it's dangerous, it's bad, it's toxic, it's all these different things. But, But yeah, going with Priscilla said, yeah, that is kind of the other thing about anime stuff is like a lot of nerd culture that like existed just mainstream within black culture isn't actually that out there. Like no one really bats an eye really about my hoodie, either of them, because Dragon Ball is one of the most ubiquitous licensed animes in the US, probably. Like
Mm-hmm.
But with black nerddom, with black male nerddom, there is the added thing of with black women, I'm not gonna pretend I know everything, so I'm just gonna ballpark and say theirs is a combination of liking things that are not liked, but also people making insert inference about their femininity here. I'm sure they could tell it better than me. I'm positive. Now, for black nerd men, it's the whole thing of I like all these different things that are like cool and actiony and all this cool stuff going on. Yet I still have this like burning sense inside of me that I don't have enough masculinity in the eyes of my peers to be taken seriously as a male. And more to the point, women who I would want to possibly sleep with don't see me as masculine enough, and therefore I feel lower chance. And that's where you get, again, the kind of people you see from the black people in the Manosphere.
Okay. The only pushback I would give you is that having listened to a lot of guys in the manosphere, I mean, they might strike me as like, autistic or socially awkward, but they don't strike me as like nerds, to be totally honest with you.
I'm not talking so much about the figureheads. I'm talking more like the people who listen to them.
Okay.
Like the people who listen to them are like me, for example. And a few I've spoken to when I was still among them were kind of like you. Like, there's a lot of similarities between all of us, and they're like, well, why did you leave and why did they stay? And I'm like, for me, it's a lot of stuff which we'll get into, but I left because, well, I'll tell you. But yeah, the only real difference is women have their usual issues on top of liking something that might not be inclusive. Take that same last struggle, but masculinity and other things. It would take too long to go into, but you get the general gist. I'm sure people get the general gist.
Okay, so okay, I'll jump into this question. So I'm curious, how did you find the Manosphere or Red Pill, whatever you want to call it? I'm kind of curious how you found it.
Through Onyx Truth, because that was one of the things we were going to talk about on here. You're probably asking, how did I get to Onyx Truth? Let's see if I can condense this down to the main points. And go. So basically, I started on Facebook, started getting into black podcasts a long time ago, the more liberal ones, places like, well, I'm not going to say names because I don't need people coming here and bugging me about them. So insert podcasts here that I got into, fell into communities, befriended some of the hosts, and I eventually got on a few shows as like a guest because I was also writing for other sites and whatnot and other nerdy groups here and there, yada, yada, yada. Now, what came to a head was I fell in with a sort of more lefty, progressive black podcaster who's still out there, who I'm not going to go into, but or who are they? But point is, miscommunications were had, and basically I found myself on the outs, and it was one of those moments for me where I don't want to say it was similar to like how in Exodus when Moses ran away from Egypt after accidentally killing that guard, but it kind of felt like that. I don't know how else to describe it. It was that weird. It was a weird time, and I wound up at Onyx because of other people I met, and I started writing for them. And the first one I talked about was why dating sucked in 2011. So that should give you an idea how long I had been writing for them up till, leaving.
Yeah, because we're like the same. Yeah, you're born literally just a few months. I'm born in May '91. You're September '91. So
yeah, you're born the same month as one of my closest friends, who also plays in the Y left.
Mm-hmm. Wait, see, over $5 super chat. I got $5. He play Leagues of Legend. Does he think black nerds will benefit from representation in the Manosphere?
Actually, I do not play League of Legends, but I do play. Wait, what is it? Yeah, I do play Valorant. I don't play League of Legends, but I do play Valorant.
I don't know what this stuff is, but it's
okay. To sum it up for you, did you ever play the game Warcraft?
No.
Okay, did you ever play Command and Conquer?
No.
Okay, it's basically like take a strategy game, but you're controlling one guy and doing the usual specials and whatnot. You're having to maneuver this around a bunch of other people doing the same. It would take too long. Valorant is just a first-person shooter, but you have superpowers. It's like, bootleg Overwatch. All you need to know. But where were we at before I deviate to this shit?
So we're talking about how you found the Manosphere. You're talking about the Onyx Truth, and then Silva said, wait, did he write for G. Lowry? Which I think G. Lowry owns the Onyx Truth, if I'm correct.
Yes, that is me, Kova. I am HT, the guy you saw.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Like one of the most famous ones, the one that kind of made things start to like dissipate things away, was actually the most infamous article I wrote for them, which was about, face it, black nerd men are better off dating interracial. And to this day, if you go there, there's still occasionally I'll pop into the comments if they're still going and like personally apologize with my name on the account. I am embarrassed by that thing.
So what made you write it at the time, even though you recanted? What made you write it at the time?
Oh, this is where I'm gonna hate myself so much for telling this story because this is honest to God why I wrote it. Give me a minute. This is as
long as it's PG or PG-13, I would say I'm okay.
Oh no, it's PG, but
okay.
I still feel a great deal of shame.
Hmm.
It's like the TV edit of School Days for me. Yeah, you made it so you could play it on TV, but the blunt message is still felt. But anyway, basically, at the time I wrote that, I was with my then girlfriend, who I'm not gonna say her name, but anyone who will hear the details of the story who knows me personally will know who I'm talking about. Basically, it was, if you look at the date when that article was first posted, it was July 7th. That was because on July 4th, I was with my girlfriend at her parents' lake house out in Middleville, in a place called Gun Lake. I know black guy dating white girl going to her parents' house and there make the get out jokes already. I know you all want to. Everyone does. Anyway, I'm sorry, I get very irritated when people start with that. That's actually plays in the story, believe it or not, because one of the girls who will play a pivotal role in me leaving the Manosphere is actually part of this. She didn't cause this. I was just a overly whiny little baby, and she was joking, making get out jokes, which is why I brought that up. And I felt some type of way, and basically I was out going out to the garage, getting beer anyway, drank some beer, and I was still mad, and so I went in the house and went to my girlfriend's room and just started making the hardest bit of love I think I've ever made in my life. Woke up still sweaty. I thought I was out for 3 hours. It turned out it was like an hour and a half. Neither here nor there. Point is, I got up, put my pants on, and I was still mad, and I started writing.
Okay. Okay. So, what's the correlation between the topic of the article and it's just you were currently in in a interracial relationship, so that's I guess that's what the correlation is.
The way I would correlate it is all of the details I have just given you about the story are pointless, stupid, and bear nothing to the overall issue at hand. That is the whole sum up of that entire article and all my writings on Onyx Truth. What on God's green earth does this have to do with the price of Coke in Colombia? I'm ashamed of it. That's what I'm saying. I'm
Mhm.
ashamed. It's yeah, like that to finish up, yeah, how did I get into the manosphere? I was a very idiotic, just sexually frustrated moron. Like,
Mhm. So okay, yeah, I guess I'm trying to see the link how you got. So I know you say you wrote for the Onyx Truth, and that kind of led you to the Manosphere, but how exactly?
well, yeah, sorry. I'm just really pissed off about those. But the point of how I got there is Gil makes fun of them all the time. And he makes fun of Tariq Nasheed all the time, and Tommy Sotomayor, and I didn't know who those guys were until I went to that site. So you start with that, and well,
Hmm. Oh, so pretty much you just found it gradually then.
okay, I agree with what Black Women's Sisterhood is saying, and I was gonna get to this point at a later point, but I want to just get this out now. You are right. Here's just the thing, and I'm not, and just hear me out before I say this. The problem is, yeah, we do lack confidence. I think the problem is on our side is that for guys, when we go out and try to hit on women of any kind, I think the thing that a lot of people don't like to say out loud, even though it's probably the reason why most guys fail, is a lot of us really try to like punch outside of our weight class in terms of attractiveness. Okay, bad analogy. You get what I'm saying. We try to like, you know, your eyes are bigger than your stomach. You know what I mean?
Hmm. I mean, okay. I mean, I moved around a lot growing up, so it was a little different for me.
Well, for I don't know what it was for like for you. For what I mean for what she's saying here is, yeah, we do lack it, but the reason why a lot of guys do is because we could. I've learned this in my own life because I've done this exact thing multiple times. But what I learned was, yeah, you could have confidence and masculinity when it comes to the women you talk to. The problem is that you being who you are is going to have its limits, but it's not limiting. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, like, how do I put this? I could, if I saw a woman, like one of my crushes is actress Susie Wacoma. I could actually get with someone, uh, like her, but I could not see myself trying to go for someone like Naomi Harris. You see what I'm saying here?
Mhm.
Like both are attractive women, but like, there's levels to everything. Like
Okay.
I'm at least honest about how I look. Like I'm not saying that I'm ugly. I'm saying like, come on. There's a reason why you don't see guys like, Ed Sheeran hooking up with women like Katy Perry.
Yeah, okay. So that does make me wonder. So one thing I
I
know
will
here.
say this to be money.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're not, but like I was trying to say was we're not all the same. Human beings just on a general level. Not all the same. I am not like you. I don't know you from Adam. I don't know your background. But I can tell you for a fact, I probably was not built like you. So, keep that trophy on your mantle, sir.
So yeah, I was kind of wondering. I know your views changed because compared to how you used to feel, compared to how do you feel now regarding that issue. So I'm kind of curious what happened in that time.
Oh, very simple. I actually started to have a dating life, and what ultimately happened was my dating life is a very weird one, mainly because when I tell the stuff that can actually be proven by people, it isn't just an exaggeration, it still sounds completely made up. So really, there's like it's like the Joker in the comics. There's like so many different origins for how he got created. So no one sticks to one.
Mhm.
It's one of those situations where it's like I could tell you, but it's not going to make sense.
Okay. Well, considering that you say you're kind of like a little high, it might not be worth it going into elaboration.
Oh no! Even if I were sober, I couldn't tell you without sound sober. I would have to get high to make it make sense. I'm high now, and I realize I never made sense telling my love life story. I never made sense explaining the time that I was in bed with one of my girlfriends, and I woke up in like the Karen from Goodfellas situation.
Huh.
I am
Okay.
not. I don't know how to. I don't know how to explain that to anybody. They're like, "Wait, what happened?" And then somebody has to show them that scene, and they're like, "Oh, that happened to you? Yeah. What happened after? Oh, we slept together. All it takes is
Okay.
being different social groups. Stop looking same black. Wait, go back to what they said.
Hmm? Oh,
Look at the same black woman as a white Hispanic male. I was with black women being. Okay, yeah, I agree. And David, even though Jesus Christ, David, put on a shirt, man. But I agree that like he probably has better luck. But again, there are different types of people in every group of people. I think this is one of the things I want to say for later, but I'll say it now.
hmm.
There are, in fact, there are different types of black women, and I do believe that the problem that a lot of the manosphere has is that they're going for the same type of women David is getting. You see what I mean? Like David, you know what you look like. I could probably ballpark it and say that, the women you probably hook up with are probably like and this is just a looks comparison, not a scale, but like on one end of the spectrum, it's probably like women who look like I don't know Tiana Trump in terms of black women. On the low end, it's probably women who look like Sky Black. Shout out to anybody who knows who either of those people are, but I digress. Point being, yeah, that's who you go for because that's where you fit in. I think guys like me have yet to realize in that group yet to realize that you can't really look like me and then be mad that you can't get a girl who looks like I don't know, like Misty Stone or something.
Oh. Huh. Okay. I mean, you've thrown out a lot of names. That's kind of going, but that's grad school. I'm not really all. aware of pop culture.
Bruh, be glad you don't. I only know all these names because I do from time to time I do IT for like girls who run their own like, adult film sites.
No, okay. So, well, yeah, I do want to go back to Manosphere because this is definitely a talking point. The whole like pookie, Ray, educated, lame. I was kind of wondering, who did you mostly watch when you followed the group? Was it people that kind of related to your worldview, or just almost anybody and everybody?
Almost everybody, but the ones that stuck out the most was Sarge WB
Mm-hmm.
because this is what I realized looking back at his videos, and I'm trying to not be mean to him because I don't need him either A looking for me or worst case scenario bugging you further. So I'll just keep it as PG as possible. But the thing I take away from all this is, and this is what I feel like happens with a lot of the problems that exist in the manosphere. And I said this to one of my friends on Twitter or somewhere, but I said, you can't be a Hill Harper type of black guy and then complain when a girl like Megan Thee Stallion curves you. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody follow what I'm saying here? Anybody? Like everybody has somebody for them, but you know, you know, there's a reason you don't drag race a Ford Focus against a Lamborghini. Come on, people. Do I have to explain this?
So, are you really big like on the whole looks component? Because I know that's an argument within the man and within the red pill generally, like whether it's like looks, money status.
Okay, here's where again goes what I've been saying this whole time. It depends on the woman. It completely depends on the woman. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there you go. David has met nice women like that. Here's the thing, David, and again, this is not me attacking anybody, but David, you meet nice black women for because of whatever circles you're in, but you probably are drawn to those types. They like you, you like them, yada yada yada. These guys are drawn to women just on looks and don't account for any of those types of factors. I should know. I've been guilty of it myself. So that is why you have this problem because some of these guys, I feel like they're not completely lying about some of their rejection stories because I've had some weird stuff happen to me too. But you hear some of these stories, and I feel like, dude, the problem is that you just keep picking like the most mean and surly women you can find. Like, just because she's got a nice ass or very good cleavage doesn't mean you gotta get mad that she turned you down. Am I making sense at all?
I get the point. So you're saying they're kind of going after the wrong kind of women that aren't really equipped for them or compatible.
Yeah, I'm just that was always my thing, and I see it all the time because you see all the time they talk about it, especially PUAs will prove this point to me. Will prove this point for me. They keep trying to set these guys up for failure, telling them, "Hey, take this tip, and you're gonna end up with a girl who looks like I don't know, like Ariel Winter from Modern Family." Like it's the most idiotic stuff possible, and then they wonder why they're miserable. And I say this always: please get these people help.
Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of curious, what are your opinions about the Pookie and Ray debate? Because when I found the space in 2018, that's literally what dominated the conversation. It made me kind of confused because I'm like, I know guys like that in my personal life who would be quote unquote Pookie and Rays, but they kind of respected me because I was going to school and whatnot. But I think I agree with Ron Wills when he argued that the debate is largely about sexual competition.
Oh no, that's completely what it is. Because it's like I am from Lansing, Michigan. I live in a town that I believe in 2011. I think it said we had one of the highest, if not the highest, percentages of mixed race people who identify as black. That was the official title of it. I can't remember what year, but look in that range. The reason I bring that up is because, yeah, you see a lot of Pookie and Ray Ray guys having kids with, a lot of random white chicks around here. Here's the thing, though. I stopped getting mad about that when I started to actually take into account, well, what are the women like? Like, when I started to spend more time around the type of women that would end up with a Pookie and Ray Ray type of guy, I realized they're probably better off with somebody.
Mhm.
Okay, you're right, Bill, but I'll get to that in a second. But what I'm saying is, yeah, you all. I think I've said where, but get to what B Money was saying. Every educated black man is not necessarily lame. I know plenty of uneducated lames. Very true. I've met plenty like that too. Uh, but yeah, I can't argue with B Money's statement because as it's presented is absolutely true. I've seen it multiple times. But yeah, with a lot of these guys, yeah, they are very lame guys, and there's nothing wrong necessarily with being quote unquote lame and and being a lame black guy, but you can't complain about being lame and then be mad that the girl you like curved you because she doesn't like lame guys. Like, what do you want from me here? Like, what do you want from her here? Better question.
That kind of makes me wonder: are there a lot of So, are there a lot of personalities in the manosphere that you recognize? Because one joke I always tell myself is that particularly the black manosphere, is nothing but a simulacrum of what would happen if my childhood friends all had YouTube channels.
Oh no, I shit. I'm trying to think of a way to say this PG. Repeat the question, and I'll probably think of it again.
No, I was wondering: are there a lot of personalities in the manosphere that you recognize?
Oh, definitely. I just had to think of a way to word it that wasn't
Hmm.
going to get me flagged. I was like, how do I word this? How do I word this? How do I word this? Okay, cool. Okay, yeah, there are some personalities. Number one, you see the nerdy guy who was clearly raised by a devoutly religious family and highly repressed, both not only in sexuality but just their worldview. So when they were sent out into the you know to socialize with other kids who weren't socialized like them, they don't really fit in and barely manage to make friends. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It's either here or there. Now they're an adult and they don't realize that, hey, your mom and dad's idea of what to be a functioning adult doesn't really apply, at least not on a mass scale. So that's one. Then you have number two, which is guy who grew up without a father or had like an uncle or a cousin who was like a pimp or something, or his dad was a pimp. Now, to be fair about this one, I want to put this asterisk here. One person who famously did grow up like that is Richard Pryor. So I just want to point that out. Now, that being said, many of the guys who grew up like that. Oh, also James Brown pretty much grew up like that too. But those were two very talented individuals. These guys think because they listen to some like wannabe iceberg slim guy who reads 48 Laws of Power and whatnot, just you know, thought he was the smartest person ever, and it's infuriating. But you realize that the reason why that kind of guy happens to just still exist, at least in the black community anyway, is one, there are still a lot of parts of, especially the Midwest, because you and I are pretty much in the same corner of it almost. Like we're in the same time zone anyway.
Hmm.
Yeah, so we can see that like there are still corners of the Midwest itself where that kind of upbringing is still the norm. You know what I mean? Thank you, poor black man. But yeah, like you see that all the time. You see the guys who are either highly repressed religious household, raised with an incredibly toxic male figure, which I should also note is what happened with a lot of serial killers, but I'm not inferring anything. I'm just stating those two groups for, take that as you will. And this is probably the most funny, but also the most annoying, is the Ben Shapiro type. I shouldn't have to explain that one, but yeah, the guy who's like thinks he's better than everybody because he's smarter than everybody.
Oh, okay. No, I see. That's one of my criticisms with SYSBM is that you got guys who like Greek literature, medieval history, and they kind of think like they're the
Oh no!
exceptional black person.
I know exactly what they are because it goes back to a joke I said on one of my old Twitters. I said, and I quote, "Really, if you think about it, a lot of the guys in the Manosphere and Hoteps essentially are all just the black version of like marble bust conservatives you see on Twitter."
Marble bust conservatives. I don't know what that
You know
is.
those guys who say like defend Western civilization and they put like
Yeah.
Roman bust. You've probably argued with a few of those D bags.
Like, okay, I see what you mean.
You've probably seen them. No, you want to know why I end up seeing them? Because you probably see them because you're probably saying, women shouldn't have to be in the kitchen. You're saying something reasonable. Like you're saying something normal like that. These are guys who are saying he's trying to destroy the Western civilization. Like you've seen those guys, and I say Hoteps and these types of guys are like that because they think anything progressive politics wise is destroying the black community and not some bigger systematic issue going on. But I digress.
Okay, I'm kind of curious. How long did you watch Manosphere content?
Since 2011. It is amazing I ever got laid.
Oh wow! So how was it then at the time? Because I didn't know about it. It wasn't really the Manosphere. It was really just like more like this loosely affiliated group of guys online.
Oh yeah, basically. Okay, I'm going to use a little bit of academic analogy for you at least to understand. Other people will probably follow what I'm saying, but okay, you've taken history classes in college, right? About European history.
Some European, they had like the tutors, European history since 1914, the tutors in England, and of course, I read a good bit of European history for my colloquiums.
Okay, so you've studied. Did they ever cover what the Balkans were like after, before, during, and after World War One?
Yeah.
Okay, basically, the Manosphere is Yugoslavia. I don't know any other way to explain it without going into details that'll make people log out or glaze over. It's basically a bunch of better one. The city-state era in Renaissance Italy. It's like that. Just a bunch of like independent areas just around each other who occasionally trade with each other and occasionally try to murder each other. It's like that. It's always like that. It's just a bunch of different groups and just stacked on one island trying to vie for supremacy. Some just saying, screw it, we'll just start a war. And the other one saying, screw that, we'll just make you broke. See?
Yeah. Okay, so that's a creative way to describe it. But how long did you watch it? I'm kind of curious. So 2011 to what?
Well, I can put it to you like this. If I had to compare it to how many hours I have watched of their stuff, okay, first of all, I should point out that I kind of had a weird history with one of them. You remember the Black Authority, right? Or Dr. Black?
Jason Black?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know of him. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember that one episode he did where he was talking about Black Panther?
I remember somebody. I think you told me about it, but I never watched it. I don't really listen to
for anyone
that
who doesn't remember that, they were going back to the episode when Black Panther was first announced, we were putting out the previews and whatnot. If you remember, he had a show on where I called in and argued with this man for an hour about the comics. It is one of my great shames in life because I defended that god awful movie. I regret that movie. I regret wasting time on that. Oh God, G's here. Well, if G's good, well, I can't see the chat, so let's make this interesting. Continue with the next question, please.
So wait, it was Okay, I'm trying to remember what you were talking about. Oh, yeah, I was talking about how long you watched the Manosphere. So yeah, I'm kind of curious. So who did you watch later on when it officially became the Manosphere? Because, like I said, it wasn't. That's not what it was called. It wasn't. There was really no Manosphere prior to 2015. Well, at least Black Manosphere, I should say.
No, it was mostly guys like Tariq and whatnot, but Tariq has been basically trying to like try a million hustles whatsoever. I mean, come on, the guy was on Jimmy Kimmel because he went out there in like a bad Steve Harvey suit, pretending he could tell guys how to like be a pimp or whatever. I'm like, dude, you couldn't even make a good rap album. Why on God's green earth would I ever listen to you? Also, I only reason I found out about Tariq Nasheed by name is because he argued with a YouTuber I used to watch by the name of Chris Raygun, and it is some of the funniest stuff you'll ever see if you look at the videos on those two when they beefed, because he straight up called him Steve Raygun and whatnot. But I digress.
Okay. Yeah. This. I know this is a personal question, but you left. So you left a comment on my secondary channel where you said when you watched the Manosphere, it had you kind of like almost suicidal. And I said, if you're comfortable speaking on this, do you care
Oh
to
no, no, because that
elaborate?
would actually be a way to sum up how I ended up leaving.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so here's where things started to go towards me leaving. This is when I started to like branch away, explore things, and ultimately how I ended up more in more leftist spaces about things. I had been out a few years among the manosphere and all these different things. Dating was sucking. I had a really good girlfriend who, like I told you, she gave me the Karen from Goodfellas routine in bed. So that relationship wasn't gonna last. Uh, Basically, what became of all that was it was around the time of my 25th birthday. I saw it as a halfway point before I was on my 30s. I had to think about a lot of stuff. I had to think what I want to do with my life, what I want to do in my life. It was a lot of questions, and I was still afraid that I was never gonna have a family, wife, kids, 2 kids, who knows how many. You know, basically like how my sister is. She's a full time phlebotomist and has 4 kids and a loving husband. But basically, what led me away was my dad saw I was down. He was going to send me to visit my great aunt out in Chicago. Now, I was supposed to go and I wanted to bring a friend with me. I was going to pay for them to go to ticket. I was going to, I'll just say off break, I was trying to bring a girl along to try and flex on my cousins. It was dumb then. It was always dumb. But one of my friends, she did agree to this. I'm not going to say her name because anyone who knows me personally, IRL, will already know what I'm talking about. So if she does watch this, I thank you. I can't say it enough. You helped me in a very dark place. Now, to sum up how she plays into this whole thing, she was supposed to go along with me to this trip. And to sum up past the point, we were hanging at my place, so like we got the go ahead to go to the train station, go from East Lansing to Chicago and whatnot. And then I got canceled, and I was gonna be home off of work for 3 days, and basically she stopped me from trying to kill myself, and we spent the next 3 days just in bed. She basically kind of restored my mind back to normal because like by day 3 when she didn't actually leave. She was supposed to. She just kind of just basically she just became like quasi my girlfriend at the time. I won't say was, but it was like I lied to myself and felt like it was. I wasn't, but it felt like it was, and I kind of got that feeling of intimacy that I hadn't felt in my life before. Because I, I didn't know what it was like to have someone care for me like that, and we had a lot of problems, things I won't go into because it's too personal. Point was, she didn't stay in a relationship with me. I was sad for a while, but I got over it, cried a little bit, slept with some girl at my job, got over it. But what what made it really stick was when I put out that album.
Okay.
Does he
Well,
think any?
I
Does he
got
think
two
any?
questions. So, well, this is the first one, and G. Lowry super chatted, so I got to go to it.
Well, I'll go there, but
So, yeah,
like
do
the
you think any
thing
of self help information in the answer are useful?
as far as like career advice, I would give you guys, but for women, no, I can't agree because there are women that will work for, but the women that tends to work on are very specific type and are the kind that a lot of the guys in the ministry just aren't going to get the attention of. So you're setting up for failures.
Okay, and G. Lowry, he super chatted, so that's why I'm definitely going to read it. He said, they asked him why he wrote me a fake email, pretended to be someone telling me he was going to off himself. So, that's
Oh,
his
very
super chat
simple.
question.
See, I was on shrooms and God, sorry. I told the truth. That's what it was. I was on shrooms. All right. What do you want from me, G? All right. It was a weird time in my life. People were dying. You know, Trump was president. It was a weird time. All right. Leave me alone.
Okay. So yeah, I have a few more questions, and of course, if anybody from the chat, anybody from who's watching that question, you can definitely just put them in the chat, and I'll read them as I can. Hopefully, it doesn't go too long. So
Oh no, we'll
yeah.
just finish with the last part so we can get into the questions because this is where I know I'm going to flip and shine. All
So
right,
I'm
what's the
curious.
last one?
So well, one I could skip here. You kind of alluded to it. So what motivated you to create your own blog?
Well, to finish up how I got out was she read me the riot act for writing that thing, and I just kind of just stopped for a while, and I kept writing because I was still mad about other things in my life. Not her; she sort of just faded off and did her own thing. But I mean, I'm happy just to finish up on that whole chapter of things with her. I'm happy for her. I'm happy she's engaged now and gonna be in a stable relationship. She helped save my life. I mean, okay, I can't really hate someone for being sleeping with somebody else when we were never really together. So I'm happy she's off with somebody else because that frees up space in my mind that I can go find somebody else. And I've tried to explain that to people, but a lot of things happen. I got hospitalized and to psych hospital, and you know, I mainly focus on the black sector because the general sector gets racist real fast.
Oh, that's interesting. I talked about that with other guests about the the racism in the white sector.
Yeah,
No, yeah.
like the only guy I was able to halfway tolerate, and I have a rule when it comes to any content creator before I write them off for their opinions. I have the 3 hour rule, or as I like to call the 3 hour Jordan Peterson rule. Because I remember when Jordan Peterson first hit the scene and everyone's saying this and that about him. I did the fair thing. I found the first episode he was on Joe Rogan,
Hmm.
and I listened to that. It was 3 hours. I listened to the whole thing while I was at work, and I came to the conclusion this man is a crank. 3 hours is fair enough time to figure out if you agree with somebody in your current state of mind. I do that with everybody, with podcasts, with YouTube, with music. I'll give you 3 hours to convince me. The only person I think who was able to convince me in way less time than that was Prince.
Okay, so I do want to get to because I've one last question, but it's usually like open ended. But I do want to get to the chat. So yeah, this Ricardo Rodney said, does he focus and watch mainly the black sector of the Manosphere or the general Manosphere?
Yeah, like I said, the only person from General Manosphere I could halfway deal with was Jordan Peterson, but no.
Is he really Manosphere? Because I thought he was his own person. He was like this obscure psychology professor who really just became a fame when he went out against about transgender issues.
Dude, he voted for Harper. He's definitely Manosphere. Like anyone in Canada will probably know what I'm talking about when I said he voted Harper. Guaranteed Jordan Peterson voted for Harper. Someone will know what I'm talking about.
Okay, and B Money said, "Are you currently in a relationship or getting any intimacy?"
Relationship, no. Intimacy, uh, it's a weird one to explain.
Okay, if it's too personal, you have to go into
Oh
that.
no, I'm in therapy now. Like I was on a Zoom call with my therapist like a few hours before I was on here.
Okay, has it been helpful? Can you say that? What did he get out of it?
Well, the thing I got out of it is that I kind of, as you'll see on this video, I do rely a great deal on, analogies, pop culture references, but that's because, it's a combination of I spend many years of my life doing writing and messing around with computers and whatnot. So I have a very weird, systematic way of looking at things. Like all I'm saying is like this. I I am simply of the belief that if I were to have a child with a Canadian woman, I would make the funniest kid ever. Because Canadians are hilarious.
Okay, so there's not a lot of questions in the chat. So if somebody comes up with something, I might go to it. But the last question I just have is, do you have any thoughts or last words for the listeners?
Okay, this is what I want to say. This is where it's going to be a little bit dicey, but please follow me on this. My belief, my general belief when it comes to the whole thing with the Manosphere is yes, we've said everything that could be said that is problematic about this group, and this channel, respectively, has done an amazing job at covering all those aspects. But here's my whole thing as someone who was in those groups. This is me giving my perspective on it. I feel like the main people outside of the Manosphere that have been working against it, I believe that and this is where it gets into my political outlook on things. I think you could call me like a labor leftist, more or less, more like that. So basically, my view is I feel like the more like liberal PMC types that you see in the media that constantly write all these articles about the Manosphere, and one glaring example is how they talked about Joker. Is I can look at is with Joker, I can look at that and see how that could speak to the type of men you see in the Manosphere, but to immediately say it's a folk tale or that it makes it lionizes them or that it's about inceldom, even though I keep saying all the time they barely touch on his love life, and by barely I mean the spoiler alert hallucinated relationship he was in uh, was in the backdrop of a much larger story. This man completely loses his mind for way other factors. But all that being said, I say this about those people. You are right to be mad as a manosphere. You are right to demand that something is done. My personal issue is that when you ask these things about the manosphere, you ask why does it normalize all these things? Why don't the good men go and do anything about it? Why don't they do anything about these men doing anything about it? And I say to them all the time, it boils down to three simple things. Number one, you are you are you are just overlooking the fact that some people are just socialized bad or just are bad people. Number one. Number two, yeah, we live in a culture that does normalize a lot of these bad pathologies and behaviors in men. I agree. But point number three, and this is the one that always gets people mad at me, is yeah, these men need to be led away from it. The reason why you trying to lead them away is failing is similar to like the that one play. I won't go into, but like if you saw Gangs of New York, the when everyone was yelling slurs at the stage during that play, well, you know what I'm talking about if anyone who's seen that movie. But it's like that. It's like you're trying to sell something to people that is completely against what they even desire or need. And I said, like, what do you mean? It's like you want these men to stop being sexist. I do too. The problem is, very simply, that your offered idea of what should be their lives going forward is it's just milk toast and anhedonic, and it's shallow, it's materialistic, and they just want something with a very human, intimate feeling. They want that kind of life. They want to feel like there's a community. That's why I went over to the left, because that's why there's actually an attempt at working together, even if it doesn't always work out like that. And that's one of the things that you see among these people. People keep bringing up the whole atomization and alienation of young men, not to say that they're all ticking time bombs, but hey, you've kind of left these guys that you set up for this life to just wander, and then you wonder why they wound up in the weird death cult that says, kill all women. Like, you didn't give them anything to do.
Well,
Like,
that's a minority at the end of the day.
I know it's a minority, but it's like, I'm not saying they're all, like, I know what you mean, but like, I use that analogy in like saying, yeah, Om Shinrikyo did a gas attack in Japan's subway system. Not everybody at Om Shinrikyo did the tunnel gassing.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I mean? Like, I use that in that, a lot of people killed themselves in Jonestown. Not everybody in Jonestown took part in the suicides. You know what I mean? But like, I use that analogy because that is what the problem is. They're trying to deprogram them by saying it's noble to be the thing that you very much feared. And when you look at a lot of what the red pill community fears of what they of their lives to be outside of that, you hear about, and it is kind of a terrible life. But you also don't want them living like that, and that's what my issue has been in the last few years. Has been, I will leave all those bad things behind. You're not going to convince me that a good life for us would be, I don't know, like living like, I don't know.
Okay, so I was about to wrap it up, but I didn't. I missed
life.
Ricardo's question. So he's like, do you think the manosphere is necessary for men, or do you think that it needs to stop completely and men should stop talking about stuff they've been talking about for years?
I think the problem is a little more nuanced than that. You need a space in culture that is more centered for men, like, as some would say, cisgendered heterosexual men. There's got to be something there for them. Like, if it's not going to be, if you're not going to make anything that's for them but not, toxic, someone who's going to make something toxic will make something for them. So it's like, there needs to be something there, but not this. Like, that's the problem. Is like, okay. It's kind of like what the Boy Scouts were supposed to be. You know what I'm trying to get at here?
I'm following along.
Basically, it's like how the Boy Scouts were created. Yeah, it had a lot of religious undertones with that, but basically their argument was, we're trying to teach you civic skills and other things that would come in use in certain scenarios in society and help people, and also teach you, teamwork, honor, all these things, whatnot, so on and so forth. You get what I'm saying? Something like that. Like, there's no like rite of passage for a lot of men in my generation. So my whole thing is, I will simply leave it off with this simple line that I hear all the time regarding this. To get to the questions, which is, if you don't initiate the young men into the village, they'll burn it down to feel it's warm. I do not remember where that's from, but I've heard it somewhere. It was probably on an episode of Chapo.
Okay. Like I said, that's really it for the chat. So
I am sorry that this is probably the wildest one you're going to end up doing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll get some blowback, but I always say I don't endorse everything my guests say. But I'm pretty sure I'll be some interesting videos, but I got to cook dinner after this. But other than that, I do appreciate the time that you arrived somewhat on time, and you volunteer your time, so you didn't have to do this. But no, I appreciate all my guests for even like coming along.
Oh yeah, I'm so sorry if I like got a little bit offhand, but it's like some of this stuff I just want to leave off of this before we go. If you are anybody out there, if you are in the Manosphere, I'm telling you right now, Chris Rock was right. There is no sex in the champagne room. Leave the Manosphere. Get help.
Okay, I said the chat was kind of interesting. So I mean, it's going to be up. So don't worry, the video's still
I
going to
am
be up.
not reading
So,
that chat because I know it's gonna piss me off.
but other than that, I don't have anything else to say except for the fact that I'll be doing this again. But it'll be actually a different kind of interview on Thursday. I'll be interviewing D Darrell when we're going to talk about YouTubers using the social media platform as a form of therapy. So that's the first time I'm going to interview like a professional therapist. And I don't know, somebody else super chat or something. No, I'm about to actually log out. Wait, tell him to check out Steve the Dean. He's a real. That's it. Okay, I know this person trolling.
Who the hell is Steve the Dean?
Okay, that's a good one. Okay,
Who
see,
the
he's
hell?
a dating coach. He's a long time dating coach. He used to be on Blog Talk Radio, but now appears on YouTube and appears on different platforms in the
I'm
black and the white
sorry.
sector of the manosphere.
I think I know who they're talking about. I just didn't have a name to put to it. No, that kind of dating advice only works if you like plan to be like, I don't know, like an Italian male model and, sleep with your coworkers. That is the only time that advice ever works. Ever. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work.
Okay, so but yeah, other than that, like I said, I'll be here Thursday, and then I'll try to do pre-recorded content next week because I went out of town this weekend. I just got kind of backtracked. But other than that, I don't have anything to say, and I hope everybody have a great night. Until then, I'll see you guys later.
Stay black and proud.